Okay, so before we begin, here are my 4 sources. Website number 1, website number 2, JSTOR article number 1, and JSTOR article number 2. Here is my note card with my people and quotes. Here are my 5 audience members, and here are my visuals. So welcome to my TED Talk. The purpose of my speech is to bring awareness to LGBTQ plus issues and learn how to correct these issues. I'm credible to talk about this because I've done research on the topic. Today I'm going to talk about the description of these issues, my personal connection to them, and how they impact community and society. So now that I have informed you of the topic of my speech, let's move on to my first point, which is the description of these issues. So, members of the LGBTQ plus community face a lot of discrimination. A quote from Sharita Gruberg from the article, The State of the LGBTQ Community in 2020, said more than 1 in 3 LGBTQ Americans face discrimination of some kind in the past year, including more than 3 in 5 transgender Americans. One of the places where we see this discrimination is in schools. Kids who identify as LGBTQ plus face a lot of difficulties in school settings and are victims of bullying. A quote. A quote from Elizabeth Payne and Melissa Smith from the article LGBTQ Kids, School and Safety and Missing the Big Picture says, in other words, the dominant understanding of bullying fails to acknowledge heteronormative social systems of power that support acts of bullying targeted at LGBTQ and gender non-conforming students. School should be a safe space for all students, regardless of their gender identity or sexual orientation. Another place where we see discrimination is in the healthcare system. A lot of insurance companies discriminate against people based on how they identify and if they're part of the LGBTQ plus community. We also see discrimination in professional settings. A lot of places won't hire So my visuals. So here we have discrimination against members of the LGBTQ community, healthcare, inequality, and inequality in the workplace for members of the LGBTQ plus community. So now that I have informed you of the description of my topic, let's move on to my personal connection. I'm a member of the LGBTQ plus community. I am bisexual and gender fluid. These are my pride flags. Coming out and accepting myself for how I am was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me. It's nice to feel comfortable being myself. A fun part about being a part of the LGBTQ plus community is going to Pride. My first time going to Pride was probably one of my favorite memories. I got to go with my friends who are also a part of the LGBTQ plus community. I think that common trait is really what brought us together and what has made us so close. So now that I've talked about my personal connection, let's move on to my final point, which is the impact that it has on the community and society. So, members of the LGBTQ plus community face a lot of discrimination and prejudice. A quote from John Michelton from the article Homelessness and Housing Experiences Among LGBTQ Young Adults in 7 U.S. Cities says a substantial number of LGBTQ young adults reported being kicked out and asked to leave their previous living arrangements. So, being forced to leave your home environment is going to be hard for anyone, but especially kids. That's really damaging to them mentally. A quote from Colleen Curry from the article 9 Battles the LGBTQ Community in the U.S. is Still Fighting says LGBTQ youth are more likely to have health issues because of substance abuse and mental health issues, and trans individuals can face discrimination from health insurers simply for identifying as trans. In 37 states, insurance companies can discriminate based on sexual and gender identity. Which brings us to this visual right here. Healthcare equality for LGBTQ plus people. So, they're, excuse me. So members like these kids are forced to leave their homes, and then they can't, get the, health care that they need. And that can be really hard on anyone. Which is why suicide rates among the LGBTQ plus community are so much higher than other groups. So now that I have informed you about the impact that these issues have on the community and on society. Let me conclude my speech. Today I talked to you about the description of LGBTQ plus issues, my personal connection to the issues, and how they impact the community and society. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. I'm really about to submit this.